Yes.
So anyway, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's your idea. I mean, it's your responsibility to jiggle them the way you want to, but that's the issue that it brings up for me.
Right. And yeah, I absolutely see what you're saying, and I agree with it. I'm just trying to figure out in my mind how to make this, because the thing is, you want your salty with your sweet,
right?
You know,
right?
Because if it is just a game about like, okay, how are we toppling government, then it's not this game. It becomes a game of Top Secret or MI5 or something like that,
more or less. I mean, and yeah, I agree. I mean, you know me, I love my supervillains.
Right.
I love them. So I get a kick that the 90s are also evident in your names and stuff, which is great. And so so if we take something like the Power Elite or one of the other ones, some of them had some really fucking cool names.
They're all over the place. There's the Cathars, which are the Cathars.
Right. That's easy enough though. And I was thinking there was some. Oh, geez, that's ridiculous. Are they cats? Are they like cat people or something?
No. The Cathars are the no. That would
actually know who the Cathars actually are. I was just hoping you didn't go there. So,
no. They are not Cathars.
Thank God. Thank you. Thank you. Just.
I
know. You see, I had a I'm like, oh no, you wouldn't do that, would you?
That would be, you know what? Now I need to make a character called Cathar,
and he's a cat. Right. No, yeah. I got it. No, it's awful. Yeah.
No, like Gen X is, that is my total 90s grunge rock band or glam rock grunge weirdo band from like the 90s.
Sure.
But yeah, anyway, I see what.
Yeah, but the deal is that you could. I mean, there's several ways. I'll just toss out a couple. Okay. One way is that any of these groups just doesn't actually operate as its own independent entity. It needs a home at any given time. Right. That doesn't necessarily mean it has to stay with that home.
Right.
So it might, it's a slightly independent variable. You manage to do things to this institution by hitting its quality points or its whatever its hit points are called, hard enough. But whether that particular group of superpowered foes with its own sort of, point of view, which had been working for or with that institution, whether they get it away or not is definitely a matter of what happens in play. Right. Stuff.
Right.
And so who knows? They might scatter to the four winds and different people go off to different institutions from now on. Right. So I guess I'm thinking of the institutions as the real foes. I'm thinking of the superpowered entities and groups as actually kind of relating to them. They're being involved with them, dispersed among them, and making choices about them on their own. That's where you get to say to, that's where you get to say to Lady Deathskull.
Okay.
You get to say to Lady Deathskull, how can you work for these people, ... right? That
right.
Kind of thing. So, I'm going for, that's a suggestion. It's just to treat them as separate variables, but if you want to take down Lady Deathskull, you're going to have to go do it, the old-fashioned way, game-wise.
Right. Well, yeah.
If you want to take down, the operations branch of the CIA, which would be a very tough nut, I suspect, you're going to have to go up against its numbers. And as long as it's around, you can take down Lady Deathskull, and the bad shit's still happening because those fuckers are still happy.
Right.
So that's kind of and that's sort of making a little more sense to me about the the whole thing. If it was treated, and so what's your agenda? Is your agenda really about Gen X or something, or is your agenda about the institution that they were working for? The actual source of the power and the interests and the. And they don't all have to be real world. I mean, they can be made up ones too, but they have to be like something in the real world.
Right.
So
what I wrote down here as a note was basically there's the institution, and then the villain is actually the tool of the institution.
Perhaps a dramatic or problematic tool in their own right, but certainly right. So that's what I'm thinking. If the agendas are this like overriding principle of what's going on in play, then all of the thought that you put into the point structure and the effectiveness and the capacity to be changed, the vulnerability to change for each of these institutions sort of becomes a side thing. And from what you were talking about last time we talked, that strikes me as it should have been like the main thing.
Right.
So that's where I'm at. Yeah.
Okay.
So those are some thoughts. I'm also, let's go a little nitty gritty too. Because you put all this work into mechanics and points and powers and stuff.
Yes.
And we take my cosmic manipulation guy, originally from New Kingdom Egypt, who who for some reason has been screwing around in the American Midwest and also seems to have a lot of South America stuff going on.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. I tried to, with the Life Pass, to make them so disparate. So it's we were in Paraguay. Now we're in
I totally get that. So, but in my case, my character's case, it's not like I spent a whole lot of time in Europe or Russia or China or somewhere.
Okay.
I'm spending a lot of time over in the Americas, and that's fine. Okay, so here I am. And by now, as I recall, based on what you'd posted at Adepts Play with some examples using Mythic, we're looking at a group of powers. We're looking at some psychological and flaw stuff too, right?
Everyone has disadvantages. Yeah, everyone has 3 different types of different disadvantages.
That. Yeah. So
you have your go on.
Well, okay. So I'm just kind of getting this person together in my mind and coming up with a couple of things. I want to get away from the Egyptian thing, so he's not called Scarab or anything like that, which is fine, right? But you've got that all over the game book. I can be something else for my guy. So, so anyway, though, I can come up with something kind of interesting. I was going to ask, how do I hit somebody?
Like an actual combat hit someone? Oh, yeah, that one's really simple. Basically, it's just your combat rating and your fighting skill. It's actually, that stuff is just super simple. Mm-hmm. Basically, you take that and you compare that to their Dex plus evasion. So let's say, for instance, you've got a plus 15 and they have a Dex plus evasion of plus 10. You would roll. You would have a plus 15 to your roll minus 10. So you'd have a plus 5 to your roll.
Right. Roll take the difference in those and right. What was the die again? I'm sorry.
2d10.
2d10. Yes. So that's bringing
2d10 and something.
Right. Are you familiar with Jeff D's game Pocket Universe that he put out?
Not Pocket Universe, no.
Around 2000 or so. And he did a bunch of settings and genres and stuff for it. Its curve is very similar to what yours is. So it just reminded me of the curve that he had in his system. It makes a lot of sense.
I don't know if you've ever played Talislanta.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, I haven't played it now that I think about it. But yes, go on.
Talislanta, Hellas, and Atlantis, they all use the same system. Basically, roll a d20, roll an 11 or higher. Right. What I did was, it's the same system, but now you use 2d10 so that your spread is bigger and the dice actually.
No, I've actually found that for just a 2-die roll, the 2d10 curve is actually pretty nice. You feel it in play. So, okay, I want to say, okay, so let's say I get hit.
Okay.
What happens?
You would take damage, depending on how well you were hit. So let's say, for instance, this guy shoots you. He has a blast power of 5. You would take 5 points of damage. A standard hero, right now as the game is written, has a base of 10 hit points plus their con rating. So if you have a con +2, you have 12 hit points.
Got it. Let's say I've got a 12. So this guy hits me for 5.
Right.
Okay. So fair enough. And then I imagine that there are some consequences and stuff that we can talk about. The reason I'm asking this is because I want to know what it's like for me to get involved in a dust up, in a confrontation, and what it's like for my character after that. Do I kind of reboot so I'm fine, which is okay because comics can do that. But
right. Yeah, where basically after the combat, you take a breath and you're fine. No, you heal over days, or if you've got a special, or depending on how high your con is, because it's basically you heal X amount plus your con. So if you've got a really high con, yes, you can bounce back quickly.
Right. So with all that in mind, we then see that if I go up against, if I go up against an institution of some kind, let's say it is the security forces of the Bolsonaro administration in Brazil.
Yes.
How do they hurt me?
That's on a completely different scale.
Right,
and the way it would work. Yeah. The way it would work is there's a system in the game called events where you fight an abstraction. So let's say, for instance, you do a house fire. We got to save this building. It's on fire. Or a boat sinking. Everyone makes their rolls. Everyone does their thing. But you guys have to get a certain amount of successes in order to hit the threshold. Let's say you don't hit those successes. Then you guys take damage. And the damage could be physical damage. It could be renown damage. You guys did.
Well, it depends on the situation. Yeah.
Right.
You aren't the boat isn't going to hurt you, but you're going to look bad. Yeah.
Right. But let's say, for instance, it's the house fire. Or let's say you guys are fighting this government. You guys are fighting in the street against this military. I would not run this thing as, there's 100 combatants. It would just be, this is your military, this is your guys' pantheon. You guys are fighting.
Right.
And then what would happen is the damage you would take would be divided over.
Right.
They might do let's say 10 points. And then the way it works is everyone gets damage equally. The person with the most renown takes the rest of the damage. So if you took 15 points,
right,
and it's okay, we all got 4 points of damage. This guy got 6, because he is that guy.
Right.
So
Superman.
So that's how
Superman took more of it for the rest of us. Thank you very much.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Okay, so I get that. Now that's I'm starting to see this pretty well, and it also is reinforcing my idea that it's the institutions that sound agenda-like to me, but we went over that a little bit. So so those were sort of my thoughts on it.